Number 1. Richard Nixon, born in 1913 in Yorba Linda, California, served as the 37th President of the United States from January 1969 to August 1974. As president, Nixon implemented a conservative agenda that focused on law and order, welfare reform, and détente with the Soviet Union. His domestic policies included the establishment of the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, and significant advancements in civil rights, such as desegregation efforts and support for affirmative action programs. Internationally, Nixon pursued a policy of realpolitik, seeking to improve relations with communist countries like China and the Soviet Union while withdrawing U.S. troops from the Vietnam War through a policy known as Vietnamization. He also negotiated arms control agreements with the Soviet Union, including the Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty, SALT. Nixon's presidency was overshadowed by the Watergate scandal, a political scandal that involved illegal activities to sabotage his political opponents and efforts to cover up these activities. The scandal ultimately led to Nixon's resignation in 1974, making him the only U.S. president to resign from office. Among his achievements as president are the establishment of the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, and the Apollo 11 moon landing, which fulfilled his promise to land a man on the moon before the end of the 1960s. Personally, Nixon was known for his intellect and strategic thinking, which earned him the nickname Tricky Dick. He enjoyed playing the piano and had a passion for foreign policy and international affairs. Nixon's wife, Pat Nixon, was known for her dedication to public service and cultural diplomacy. Number 2, Gerald Ford, born in 1913 in Omaha, Nebraska, served as the 38th President of the United States from August 1974 to January 1977. Ford assumed the presidency following Richard Nixon's resignation amidst the Watergate scandal, marking the first and only time a person has become president without being elected to either the presidency or the vice presidency. As president, Ford focused on healing the nation after the Watergate crisis and restoring trust in government institutions. He pardoned Richard Nixon for any crimes he may have committed during his presidency, a decision that was controversial but aimed at moving the country forward from the turmoil of Watergate. Ford also worked to stabilize the economy, addressing inflation and unemployment through economic policies. Internationally, Ford faced challenges such as the aftermath of the Vietnam War and tensions with the Soviet Union during the Cold War. He continued efforts to advance arms control and détente policies, seeking to reduce tensions and promote peace. Among his achievements as president are the Helsinki Accords, which aim to improve relations between Western and Eastern Europe, and his efforts to strengthen the U.S. military and intelligence capabilities. Personally, Ford was known for his athleticism and played college football at the University of Michigan. He enjoyed golfing and spending time with his family, including his wife, Betty Ford, who became known for her advocacy for women's rights and substance abuse awareness. Number 3, Jimmy Carter, born James Earl Carter Jr. in 1924 in Plains, Georgia, served as the 39th President of the United States from January 1977 to January 1981. As president, Carter emphasized human rights and diplomacy, seeking to promote peace and stability globally. He brokered the Camp David Accords in 1978, facilitating a peace agreement between Israel and Egypt, for which he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2002. Carter also pursued energy conservation efforts in response to the oil crises of the 1970s, urging Americans to reduce energy consumption and invest in renewable sources. Domestically, Carter faced challenges including inflation and economic stagnation, exacerbated by the Iranian Revolution and subsequent hostage crisis, which overshadowed much of his presidency. Despite these challenges, he implemented reforms in education and healthcare, advocating for increased access and quality. Among his achievements as president are the establishment of the Department of Energy and the deregulation of the airline and trucking industries. Personally, Carter is known for his humanitarian work through the Carter Center, focusing on global health initiatives, conflict resolution, and democracy promotion. He has been active in monitoring elections worldwide and combating diseases such as guinea worm disease. Number 4, Ronald Reagan, born in 1911 in Tampico, Illinois, served as the 40th President of the United States from January 1981 to January 1989. As president, Reagan implemented a conservative agenda focused on reducing government regulation, cutting taxes, and promoting free market principles. His economic policies, collectively known as Reaganomics, aimed to stimulate economic growth and reduce inflation. Reagan also prioritized rebuilding America's military strength, leading to a significant increase in defense spending during his tenure. Internationally, Reagan pursued a robust anti-communist foreign policy, famously advocating for the collapse of the Soviet Union and describing it as an evil empire. He engaged in strategic arms reduction talks with Soviet leaders, culminating in the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, INF, in 1987. Reagan's leadership during the Cold War is widely credited with contributing to the eventual end of the Soviet Union and the Cold War era. Among his achievements as president were the Tax Reform Act of 1986, which simplified the tax code and lowered tax rates, and the appointment of conservative judges to federal courts, shaping the judiciary for decades to come. Reagan's presidency saw economic prosperity and a renewed sense of patriotism. Personally, Reagan was known for his optimism, wit, and communication skills, often referred to as the great communicator. He enjoyed horseback riding and spending time at his ranch in California. Reagan's wife, Nancy Reagan, was a prominent advocate for the Just Say No anti-drug campaign. Number 5, George Herbert Walker Bush. Born in 1924 in Milton, Massachusetts, served as the 41st President of the United States from January 1989 to January 1993. As president, Bush navigated significant international challenges, including the end of the Cold War and the dissolution of the Soviet Union. He orchestrated a coalition to expel Iraq from Kuwait during the Gulf War in 1991, demonstrating his commitment to global diplomacy and military intervention when necessary. Domestically, Bush faced economic issues, including a recession early in his term. He signed the Americans with Disabilities Act into law, which aimed to protect individuals with disabilities from discrimination, and pursued education reform initiatives such as promoting higher standards and accountability in schools. Among his achievements as president were the Clean Air Act amendments of 1990, which aimed to reduce air pollution, and negotiations leading to the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, laying the groundwork for economic cooperation between the United States, Canada, and Mexico. In his personal life, Bush was known for his dedication to public service and humility. He enjoyed sports like golf and fishing, often spending leisure time outdoors. Bush and his wife, Barbara Bush, were advocates for literacy, promoting reading programs and initiatives to improve literacy rates across the United States. Number 6. Bill Clinton, born William Jefferson Blythe III in 1946 in Hope, Arkansas, served as the 42nd President of the United States from January 1993 to January 2001. As president, Clinton's administration prioritized economic policies that led to the longest peacetime economic expansion in American history. His initiatives included the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, and welfare reform aimed at reducing dependency. Clinton also championed healthcare reform efforts, although his proposed plan did not pass Congress. Internationally, Clinton pursued diplomacy and interventionism, overseeing NATO's military intervention in the Bosnian War and attempting to broker peace in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. His administration also faced challenges such as the Rwandan genocide and escalating tensions in the Balkans. Among his achievements as president were the Balanced Budget Act of 1997, which resulted in federal budget surpluses, and the Family and Medical Leave Act, which granted unpaid leave for family and medical reasons. Clinton's presidency was marred by controversy, including impeachment proceedings related to a scandal involving White House intern Monica Lewinsky, although he was acquitted by the Senate. In his personal life, Clinton is known for his charisma and oratory skills, which helped shape his political persona. He has a passion for playing the saxophone and enjoys reading and writing. Clinton has authored several books, including his autobiography. Number 7, George W. Bush, born in 1946 in New Haven, Connecticut, served as the 43rd President of the United States from January 2001 to January 2009. Hailing from a political family, his father, George H.W. Bush, was also a U.S. president. As president, Bush's tenure was defined by significant events, notably the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks, which prompted a global war on terror and military interventions in Afghanistan and Iraq. He implemented tax cuts aimed at stimulating economic growth and pursued education reform through the No Child Left Behind Act, emphasizing accountability and standardized testing in schools. Bush's foreign policies focused on spreading democracy and combating terrorism, leading to controversial decisions such as the invasion of Iraq in 2003. He also prioritized combating HIV/AIDS globally through the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, PEPFAR, which provided funding for treatment and prevention programs in affected countries. Among his achievements as president were the Medicare Prescription Drug Improvement and Modernization Act, which added prescription drug coverage to Medicare, and efforts to reform immigration policies. Although comprehensive reform ultimately eluded his administration, in his personal life, Bush is known for his passion for fitness and outdoor activities, including mountain biking. He enjoys painting and has published a book featuring his artwork. Number 8, Barack Obama, born in 1961 in Honolulu, Hawaii, served as the 44th President of the United States from January 2009 to January 2017, making history as the first African-American president. As president, Obama inherited a nation grappling with economic recession and two wars. His administration focused on healthcare reform, resulting in the Affordable Care Act, ACA, which aimed to expand access to healthcare and reduce costs. Obama also prioritized renewable energy initiatives and efforts to combat climate change, aligning with his broader environmental policy goals. Internationally, Obama pursued a policy of diplomacy and engagement, advocating for nuclear non-proliferation and strengthening alliances. He oversaw the operation that led to the death of Osama bin Laden, the leader of al-Qaeda, in 2011. Among his achievements as president were the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act, aimed at regulating the financial industry after the 2008 financial crisis, and the DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, which provided temporary protection for undocumented immigrants brought to the U.S. as children. In his personal life, Obama is known for his eloquence and literary prowess, having authored several books. He is an avid basketball fan and enjoys spending time with his family, including his wife, Michelle Obama. Number 9. Donald J. Trump. Born in 1946 in Queens, New York, Trump became the 45th President of the United States in January 2017. Trump's presidency was characterized by a focus on economic policies, prioritizing immigration reform, advocating for stricter border controls and measures to curb illegal immigration. During his term, Trump pursued an America First foreign policy agenda, renegotiating trade deals and challenging international agreements like the Iran nuclear deal and the Paris Climate Agreement. His administration emphasized military strength and reduced U.S. involvement in global organizations such as the World Health Organization. Among his notable accomplishments as president were tax reform policies through the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, efforts to combat human trafficking, and the Operation Warp Speed initiative that accelerated the development and distribution of COVID-19 vaccines. In his personal life, Trump is known for his entrepreneurial spirit and business acumen, having built a global real estate empire and hosting the reality TV show The Apprentice. He enjoys golfing and has a penchant for fast food, often making headlines for his diet preferences. Number 10. Joe Biden. Born in 1942 in Scranton, Pennsylvania, was sworn in as the 46th president on January 2021 amidst unprecedented challenges and right in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. Biden had prioritized tackling the COVID-19 pandemic, overseeing a nationwide vaccination campaign and economic relief measures. His administration's focus on environmental policy has led to initiatives aimed at combating climate change and promoting clean energy. Biden's term in office is still unfolding, amid ongoing transformations in his administration. Among his notable achievements are the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, which provided economic aid during the pandemic, and the infrastructure bill aimed at revitalizing the country's infrastructure. Personally, Biden enjoys spending time with his family, including his wife, Dr. Jill Biden, and has a passion for classic cars and a love for ice cream.